So we move out of the world of espionage fiction into espionage non-fiction. We move from the streets of Berlin in the 1980s to the streets of Paris and other parts of occupied France in the 1940s. Hello everybody, welcome to and welcome back to my channel, Book Time with Elvis with me, Mark, and I hope you're doing very well indeed. And I'd also like to invite you, if you've been enjoying my videos, to perhaps like them and maybe even subscribe to this channel. Who knows? I may even make it to 3,000 before Christmas after all. So as I said, we're looking at some espionage non-fiction for the penultimate review of Dr. November. I have a couple of just small things to finish off and probably put out a wrap-up video soon. But I want to talk about the book I finished yesterday, which is Sonia Purnell's book, A Woman of No Importance, the untold story of the American spy who helped win World War II, by Sonia Purnell. And it was a very, very good book with a very, very good story. Now, I'm obviously struggling today with my vocabulary because I keep using very, very, but there's kind of a small caveat to my enthusiasm. So I did find it an absolutely fascinating story. I'd never heard of the woman that it's about. It's basically a biography of the war service of an American woman called Virginia Hall, and she was a very early SOE agent, and she did some just remarkable things. And what made it even more remarkable is, of course, the fact that she had only one leg. She walked around with a prosthetic limb owing to a hunting accident she'd had in her youth, and she found herself in France as war broke out, and she wanted to do a lot to help. I came to the book through Farah from Bookstalgic because she chose it for a Dr. November read last year, and she finished it not that long ago and recommended it, and I thought, you know, I trust Farah, so I will take her recommendation on board and give it a read. The history is excellent. It's gripping and often quite moving, and it's certainly gripping. I mean, the cast of characters involved is just incredible, and of course the things that happen to them just beg a belief. But I have to admit that the writing did feel a bit, to me, maybe quite stilted at times. It kind of lacked the flow of someone like a Ben McIntyre. But then, you know, there could be reasons for that, in the sense that Sonia Purnell has nothing to go on, pretty much. I think there are a couple of books written, there's certainly a book written about Virginia Hall by someone who knew her and worked with her in the resistance in France during the war. But she herself never really talked about it. She didn't publish anything about it. So I think Purnell is a little bit handcuffed, let's say, into what she can write about, and I think she has to add in and fill in the gaps here and there. Is just my guess, and perhaps that's part of the reason why the writing just feels like it lacks something. But the book itself I gave 5 stars because the story and the heroism of Virginia Hall and others just makes it, you know, impossible to give it anything else. The book was published in 2019, tells, as I said, the extraordinary true story of Virginia Hall, this American woman who became one of the most effective SOE agents in France, and then later an OSS agent in France as well. She was brave, resourceful, amazing at building networks, and just incredibly resilient woman. And as I said, she did all that with one leg. So that makes her achievements more impressive, and her story does definitely deserve to be much better known. What really shines, of course, in the book is the Purnell's use of the raw material. She's obviously done her research. You can tell she's had to, really, and she explains and demonstrates very well the different missions that Hall undertook, the agents she gathered together, the prison breaks and things that she organised, as well as the other characters, be they French resistance or collaborators or horrible people such as Klaus Barbie, who you probably heard of, and if you haven't, you probably don't want to, frankly, because he's a scary and frightening person. You get a strong sense of the danger that she lived in, with daily daily Gestapo checks, German manhunts, that kind of things, betrayals, coded radio signals, people hunting down radio signals and that kind of stuff. And I cannot tell you how frightening it would have been. I mean, I just can't imagine living with that fear. And then what gets me is how she goes on about the smallest thing can give you away. You know, one Englishman who spoke perfect French walks out of a hotel, crosses the road, looks left as he crosses the road, which of course then made people suspicious. There's little things like that that could give you away. Just like in, The Great Escape, when, I think it's Richard Attenborough is getting on the bus or is it Gordon Jackson? He's like, have a good trip, and he's like, oh, thank you. Oh no, giving it all away. I said her research is impressive. Purnell's research is impressive. She did a huge amount of digging. She even reveals some things for the first time, which was not known about Hall. And I guess where possible, she probably interviewed people and certainly read other people's accounts of the war. And believe me, there is an amazing cast account. I mean, you could write a book on almost every other person in this thing. As I said, the style was for me the only downside. The prose feels a bit stiff, slightly formal, and maybe even, I don't know, repetitive. There's something not quite right. I think she's sometimes trying to push the emotion too hard instead of letting the actions of Virginia maybe speak for themselves. But, it's not terribly written. I think she's done the best that she can with the lack of first-hand information available, especially from Hall herself. Despite that, Virginia Hall, of course, is an amazing figure. She rises above all the issues she has to face, and just it's a really remarkable woman, and it's a very, very incredible story, and you should definitely read it. So, as I say, while the writing doesn't always sparkle, the story certainly does, and it certainly wouldn't be a waste of your time. And I recommend, if you have an opportunity, to go out and get yourself a copy of A Woman of No Importance by Sonia Purnell and read this amazing personal history of this woman, Virginia Hall, and her dramatic life in France during the Second World War, and the amazing things she did to help win the war for the Allies. There we have it, everybody. I'd like to thank you all for taking part in Dr. November. As I said, there will be another video probably to wrap things up, and the last couple of things I need to just kind of finish off, but I really appreciate you joining me in this, and I hope you had fun, and we'll certainly be back next year. Do take care, everybody. All the best. Cheerio. Bye for now.